Well, hello everyone, this is Goosebumps Godzilla, and today I'm going to be talking about Mr. Andretti, who is the main protagonist's neighbor in Why I'm Afraid of Bees, and how this mysterious character is actually a monster. Viewer beware, you're in for a scare, and let's get started. So, Mr. Andretti is this really rude neighbor that lives next door to the main protagonist in Why I'm Afraid of Bees. It turns out that he's obsessed with bees, which is the main protagonist's worst fear, making them not have that good of a relationship. But anyway, this guy is obsessed with bees. He has his own beehive in his backyard. And I really don't know anyone, or have seen anyone, or know of anyone who has a beehive in their backyard. I know businesses that have it if they're like selling honey for a living, but just having a beehive for fun, I don't know, it just doesn't seem like my kind of forte. But then again, to each his own. So anyway, he is just this not that nice guy. He's not nice to the main protagonist, but maybe he's trying to hide a secret. A very deadly secret. Maybe it's the secret that he's actually a monster. So the reason I instantly thought of this guy as a monster was because in Why I'm Afraid of Bees, the way he talked to his bees. So it turns out in the book, the main protagonist gets turned into a bee, and so that guy, he owns the beehive, and he lets them out so they could pollinate the flowers and then brings them back into their hive. All the straggler bees who don't get back to the hive themselves, he goes out and catches them. So he caught the main protagonist because he didn't know that it was actually human. He thought it was just a normal bee. But anyway, so he took the main protagonist in a net and started calling the bees that he caught his fuzzy friends. I'm sorry, but that just instantly brought back memories to the girl who cried monster. Because if you remember in the book, Mr. Mortman was talking to his animals. He's like, my furry friends and stuff like that. And I don't know, it just reminded me so much of Mr. Mortman. So that's when I instantly thought that Mr. Andretti was a monster. Because he's obsessed with bees. And what else does he do with bees? He must, like, do something with the bees other than just keep them for fun. Who would keep bees for fun? I don't know. Not me. But then again, I'm different. But just the way he talks to the bees is just very similar to Mr. Mortman. And so that's sort of circumstantial evidence that he is actually a monster. And here's another bit of evidence. Just the fact that he is obsessed with bees. In The Lizard of Oz, we can kind of see the same thing. So, the main protagonist's family are obsessed with lizards, and to great lengths that they go to Australia, buy a rare lizard, somehow get it through security, and keep it at their house. I mean, they're going through great lengths to get this lizard. So they're obsessed with lizards, and it turns out near the end of the book that the main protagonist's family are all humanoid lizard monsters, kind of like Mr. Mortman, except they turn into humanoid lizards. And the whole reason they're obsessed with lizards is to honor their ancestors, not ancestors, but their relatives, the lizards. And so that's why they're so obsessed with lizards, is because they want to honor their relatives. And then we see Why I'm Afraid of Bees, and it could be much the same scenario. So this could mean that Mr. Andretti in his monster form is a giant bee. That'd be so cool to see in a Goosebumps book. This book needs a sequel right now. A humanoid bee, count me in. So, if this is right, then he would also show a bit more evidence than just he's obsessed with bees, right? And I found more evidence, and so that evidence is that why won't the bees sting him? So in the book, so he doesn't wear gloves when he's out playing around with his bees. I mean, bees completely cover his entire body in one part in the book, and they do not sting him. Why don't the bees sting him? It's kind of weird, and, you know, some people say that bees won't sting you unless they feel threatened or are attacked. And he's pretty much attacking these bees right here. So he's going out, catching bees in nets, bringing them into his little screened area where the bees live, and he plucks them out with his fingers, which have no gloves on. And a bee hasn't stung him yet. He came up with the lousiest excuse in the book. Not R.L. Stine, but the neighbor. He came up with the excuse that he's a master bee handler or whatever. I'm sorry. When you're plucking bees out of a net that you caught them in, they're gonna sting you. Unless maybe he's actually a monster. Because if he's a giant humanoid bee, then maybe, just maybe they'll trust him since he is part bee or whatever. I don't know, it's kind of weird. And also the final bit of evidence I have to prove that he is actually a monster is his love of secrecy. So in the book, the main protagonist in Why I'm Afraid of Bees kind of likes to watch Mr. Andretti play around with the bees because he's really bored during the summer. And so Mr. Andretti does not like people watching him, though. He's really strange about it, too. He keeps warding off the kid, telling his parents that he's been spying on him and all this stuff. Even going to great lengths, he's like, I know the FBI hired child agents. And it's kind of weird, yeah, how, like, he doesn't want people to see what he's doing. And also, another time, he scared away the main protagonist by pretending like he unleashed all these bees on top of him and all this stuff. And he honestly takes a similar attitude to the other, like, human people that turn into monsters. Take a look in The Wizard of Oz. Not The Wizard of Oz, The Lizard of Oz. I'm sorry. And so, in the book, the main protagonist family do not want anyone to know that they're humanoid lizard monsters. And so, one time, one of the main protagonists, I guess you could call friends more enemies, took a video or picture of the main protagonist acting like a lizard, and so they invited her over for dinner, and they threatened her into deleting that photo and everything. I mean, it was pretty brutal, just that they threatened her and all this stuff. It's not brutal, but you know what I mean. They went to great lengths to make people not know their identity. It's kind of the same thing for Mr. Mortman in The Girl Who Cried Monster. In the book, he's trying his best, and he's stalking the main protagonist in The Girl Who Cried Monster, just trying her not to get any evidence that he himself is actually a monster. So there you guys have it. Do you think that Mr. Andretti from Why I'm Afraid of Bees is a ferocious bee humanoid monster? Or do you think he's just a normal guy who doesn't like people spying into his business and is just obsessed with bees? But just tell me in the comment section below what you think. And if you like what you see, please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And that is the end of my video. And I hope you enjoyed.